The breaking point. The stars above Altaris shimmered like scattered diamonds against velvet darkness. Captain Alina Reyes stood on the observation deck of the hidden base, her reflection ghostly in the reinforced glass. 3 years since Earth fell. 3 years of running, hiding, and waiting. The waiting was the worst part. "Captain, the council is assembled," said Commander Jax, his cybernetic eye glowing faintly in the dim light. Alina nodded, her gaze still fixed on the stars. The hegemony patrols increased by 30% in the outer sectors. "They're searching for something." "They're searching for us," Alina replied, finally turning away from the viewport. "And soon, they'll find us." The command center was buried deep within Altaris's northern mountain range, a repurposed mining facility now home to the last organized human resistance. As Alina entered, the murmur of voices quieted. Around the holotable stood the remaining human military leadership, 12 people representing billions who had perished when the hegemony unleashed the purge against Earth and its colonies. "The intelligence is verified," Alina said without preamble, activating the holotable. A 3-dimensional schematic flickered to life, a massive orbital station hanging over a gas giant. "This is Nexus 7, the hegemony's primary research facility in this sector. Our operative died transmitting this data." Admiral Chen, a veteran of the Earth Defense Force, leaned forward. His face was a map of scars from the Battle of Luna. "Maya was one of our best. What did she find that was worth dying for?" Alina's fingers danced across the controls, zooming in on a secluded section of the station. "Project Ascension." The room fell silent. "The hegemony has been experimenting with technology they discovered in the ruins of the precursor civilization on Epsilon Prime," Alina continued. "Technology they fear because it responds only to human neural patterns." "That's impossible," General Santos objected. "The precursors vanished 50,000 years ago." Dr. Eliza Candle, their lead xenobiologist, stepped forward. "Not impossible. Our research suggests the precursors were experimenting with directed evolution. They may have seeded countless worlds, including Earth, which would explain why the hegemony tried to exterminate us rather than simply conquer," Jax added. "We're a threat to their dominance merely by existing." Alina nodded. "Maya's data confirms our suspicions. The hegemony's aggression was never about resources or territory. It was fear. They discovered that humans can interface with precursor technology in ways their species cannot." The hologram shifted, displaying schematics of a device, circular, with intricate patterns etched into its surface. "This is the Ascension Key," Alina said. "Maya died retrieving its location and access protocols." Admiral Chen's expression darkened. "You're proposing a strike mission against the most heavily defended hegemony facility in the sector." "I'm proposing we take back our future," Alina replied, her voice steady. "The hegemony destroyed Earth because they feared what we might become. This is our chance to show them their fear was justified." The planning took 16 hours. By the end, Alina had assembled her team. Commander Jax would lead infiltration, Dr. Candle would handle the precursor tech, and Lieutenant Novak, their best pilot, would fly them through the hegemony blockade. 5 others with specialized skills rounded out the team, making 9 in total. 9 humans against an empire that spanned 300 star systems. The odds weren't good, but odds had never mattered much to humans. The Phantom, their stealth vessel, slipped through space like a shadow between stars. Lieutenant Novak navigated through the debris field surrounding Nexus 7, a graveyard of ships destroyed during the hegemony's internal power struggles decades ago. 2 minutes to insertion point, Novak announced, her hand steady on the controls. Alina checked her tactical display. "Jax, status." "Team ready," he replied from the cargo bay, where the others were making final preparations. "Dr. Candle is having second thoughts." Alina made her way back, moving through the narrow corridor with practiced ease. In the cargo bay, Dr. Candle was staring at her datapad, her face pale. "Doctor." Candle looked up, her eyes wide. Captain, I've been reviewing Maya's data more carefully. The Ascension Key isn't just a weapon. If my interpretations are correct, it's something far more significant. Explain. The precursors weren't just another alien race. They were attempting to transcend physical form entirely. The key isn't a device, it's a gateway. And according to these readings, it's been waiting specifically for human neural patterns to activate it. Alina frowned. Waiting? For 50,000 years. Captain, Novik's voice came through the comms. We have a problem. Hegemony patrol on approach. They're altering course. I think they've spotted us. Impossible, Jack said. Our cloaking tech has been compromised. Finished, a new voice. Alina turned to see Lieutenant Keller, their security specialist, holding a plasma pistol aimed directly at her chest. Behind him, 2 more crew members had drawn weapons. Keller, what is this? Alina asked, though she already knew. The hegemony sends its regards, Captain, Keller replied, a cold smile forming. Did you really think humans were the only ones who could infiltrate? You're not even human, Alina realized, noticing the almost imperceptible shimmer around Keller's form, a high-grade holographic disguise. No, I am Vrexin, 3rd-tier intelligence operative of the hegemony. And you've led us directly to the last human resistance cell. The creature wearing Keller's face gestured with the pistol. Your species' pathetic hope ends today. The ship shuddered as it was caught in a tractor beam. Outside, hegemony warships were closing in. You underestimate us, Alina said calmly. Humans always have a contingency. She pressed a hidden switch on her wrist communicator. Throughout the ship, hidden compartments slid open, releasing palm-sized devices that immediately activated, filling the air with a high-pitched whine. The false Keller's holographic disguise flickered violently, revealing a tall, spindly creature with iridescent skin. The other 2 infiltrators were similarly exposed, their true forms writhing as the disruptor fields interfered with their biology. Now, Novak, Alina shouted into her comm. The Phantom's engines roared to life, straining against the tractor beam. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a violent shudder, they broke free. The sudden acceleration threw everyone off balance. Alina seized the moment, launching herself at the disoriented Vrexin. Her combat knife found the weak point in its exoskeleton, a vulnerability detailed in Maya's final transmission. The creature collapsed, leaking phosphorescent fluid. Across the cargo bay, Jax and the loyal members of the team dispatched the other infiltrators with ruthless efficiency. Novak, status, Alina demanded, already moving toward the bridge. 6 hegemony cruisers in pursuit, came the reply. We're faster, but they've called for reinforcements. We won't make it to the extraction point. Alina reached the bridge, taking in the tactical display with a single glance. The hegemony ships were forming a blockade pattern, standard procedure when hunting human vessels. Change of plans, she announced. Set course for Nexus 7. Maximum speed. Novak looked back, stunned. The research station. They'll have a full battle group protecting it. Exactly, Alina said. They won't expect us to head straight for their most valuable installation, and they won't risk firing on us when we're that close to their precious research. As the Phantom accelerated toward the massive station looming ahead, Alina returned to the cargo bay where Dr. Candle was helping tend to the wounded. The mission is still on, Alina told her. But we need to know exactly what the Ascension Key does before we activate it. Candle shook her head. I can't be certain without direct access. The precursor language is still largely theoretical. But from what I can decipher, the key was designed to elevate a worthy species to something else. Define something else. That's just it, Captain. The precursors believed evolution didn't end with physical form. They were pursuing what they call the Omega state, a level of existence beyond conventional understanding. The ship shuddered as Novak executed a series of evasive maneuvers. Proximity alarms blared. Whatever it is, Alina decided, The hegemony fears it enough to commit genocide against us. That's reason enough to pursue it. Jax approached, his expression grim. We lost Daniels and Watkins. The rest are ready, but with 3 traitors, we're down to just 6 operational personnel. Elena nodded. 6 will have to be enough. The Phantom shuddered again, more violently this time. Novik's voice came through with an edge of panic. They've locked onto us with short-range tractors. We're being pulled into docking bay 4. Perfect, Elena said, surprising everyone. That's exactly where we want to be. Captain, Jax questioned. Elena activated the holodeble, displaying the station schematic. Docking Bay 4 connects directly to the central research sector. They're bringing us exactly where we need to go. As the Phantom was dragged into the massive hangar of Nexus 7, Elena addressed her remaining team. Their faces showed fear, determination, and the stubborn resilience that had defined humanity throughout its history. The hegemony destroyed our homeworld because they feared what we might become, she told them. Today, we find out if they were right to be afraid. The ship settled onto the hangar floor with a metallic groan. Outside, hegemony forces were assembling, hundreds of soldiers preparing to board and capture the human vessel. They were about to discover that humans, when cornered, were at their most dangerous. And deep within the station, the Ascension Key waited, a precursor artifact that had been anticipating human contact for 50,000 years. The breaking point had arrived. Ascension. The hegemony troops swarmed into the Phantom like a tide of gleaming carapaces and plasma rifles. They found nothing but empty corridors and disabled systems. Captain Elena Reyes and her team were already moving through the maintenance ducts of Nexus 7, guided by the station schematics Maya had died to obtain. Security hub ahead, Jax whispered, his cybernetic eye glowing as it processed thermal signatures beyond the bulkhead. 3 guards, all Vakari caste. Elena nodded. The Vakari were the hegemony's warrior elite, 2 meters tall with natural armor and reflexes twice as fast as a human's. In direct combat, they were nearly unbeatable. Fortunately, humans had stopped fighting fair the day Earth burned. Dr. Candle, status? Elena asked quietly. Candle checked her scanner. The Ascension Key's energy signature is growing stronger. It's responding to our presence, even at this distance. Novak, the package. Lieutenant Novak patted the compact device secured to her belt. Ready to deploy on your mark, Captain. Elena took a deep breath. Everyone clear on the plan. Once we start this, there's no going back. 5 determined faces looked back at her. No one hesitated. For Earth, Elena said simply, then gave the signal. Novak activated the device. Throughout the station, every system connected to the central network suddenly flooded with contradictory commands. Lights flickered, pressure doors cycled randomly, and security protocols initiated emergency lockdowns in cascading sequence. In the chaos, Elena's team struck. They didn't engage the Vakari directly. Instead, Jax deployed a localized EMP that overloaded the neural implants all hegemony warriors depended on. The guards collapsed, their enhanced nervous systems temporarily paralyzed. 4 minutes until their security vias adapt to our intrusion, Novak warned, as they moved swiftly through the corridors. They encountered minimal resistance. Most of the station's security forces were still searching the Phantom or responding to the false emergencies triggered throughout the facility. Those few who crossed their path were dealt with silently and efficiently. When they reached the central research sector, however, everything changed. Bioscanners, Jax said, examining the security checkpoint ahead, keyed specifically for human detection. They knew we were coming, Elena concluded grimly. Not just today. They'd been expecting humans to attempt this for years. Candle studied her readings. The Ascension Key is just beyond these barriers. Its energy output has increased by 300% since we arrived. It knows we're here, Elena realized. Anthropomorphizing an alien artifact is hardly scientific. Candle objected automatically, then paused. But, yes, it seems to be responding specifically to our proximity. How do we get past the bioscanners? Novak asked. Alina studied the security systems. We don't. We give them exactly what they're looking for. Before anyone could stop her, Alina stepped directly into the scanner's field. Alarms immediately blared throughout the station. Armored doors began to close around them. Captain. Jax shouted in disbelief. Alina smiled grimly. Trust the plan, Commander. Hegemony troops converged from all directions, weapons raised. At their center stood a tall figure in ornate armor, Supreme Commander Vexcal, architect of Earth's destruction. Captain Alina Reyes, the alien intoned, mandibles clicking with satisfaction. Last surviving flag officer of the Terran Alliance, how fitting that you should deliver yourself to us. Alina straightened her shoulders, facing her enemy directly. Supreme Commander, I've waited 3 years for this meeting. To what end? Vexcal circled her slowly. Your species is finished. Those few humans who remain are scattered, hiding in the shadows of superior civilizations. Yet you fear us, Alina replied calmly. Why else commit genocide against a species that posed no threat to your empire? The Supreme Commander's compound eyes gleamed. You know why. The precursor technology responds to your primitive neural patterns, a biological quirk, nothing more. But one we could not allow to be exploited. Take them to containment, he ordered his troops. Full neural suppression. I want their brains intact for study. As the soldiers moved to comply, Alina caught Novak's eye and gave an imperceptible nod. Novak pressed a hidden switch on her wrist device. Throughout the station, precisely placed charges detonated simultaneously, not explosives, but specialized EMP devices designed to target the station's power distribution network. One by one, the sectors went dark. In the momentary confusion, Alina's team struck. Jax activated his combat enhancements, moving with blinding speed to disarm the nearest guards. Dr. Candle deployed a canister that released a neurotoxin specifically engineered to affect hegemony physiology. The remaining team members engaged with the precision of elite operatives who had trained for this moment for years. Alina went straight for Vexcal. The Supreme Commander was a legendary warrior, but Alina had one advantage: pure human rage. She had seen Earth's cities burning from orbit as her evacuation ship fled. She had watched the hegemony bombardment reduce humanity's homeworld to a lifeless husk. Their combat was brief but vicious. Vexcal's natural armor deflected her first strikes, and his counterattack nearly crushed her ribcage. But Alina had studied hegemony physiology extensively. When Vexcal lunged, she dodged at the last moment, driving her combat knife into the junction between his thoracic plates, the one vulnerable point in his exoskeleton. This is for Earth, she whispered as the Supreme Commander collapsed. Emergency lighting cast an eerie red glow over the scene. Alina's team had neutralized the immediate threat, but reinforcements would arrive within minutes. The doors sealed, Jax reported, examining the entrance to the inner laboratory. Alina knelt beside the dying Supreme Commander. Open it, she ordered him. Vexcal's mandibles clicked in what might have been laughter. You have no idea what you're about to unleash, human. The Ascension Key was not meant for lesser species. It will consume you. Maybe, Alina acknowledged. But first, it will end your empire. She pressed her knife harder. The door. Vexcal's multifaceted eyes dimmed as his life ebbed away. With his final act, he pressed his command insignia against the security panel. The massive doors slid open. Inside was a chamber unlike anything they had seen before. The architecture was distinctly non-hegemony. Flowing, organic lines formed patterns that seemed to shift when viewed directly. At the center, suspended in a containment field, floated a crystalline device approximately 1 meter in diameter. Its surface was etched with symbols that glowed with inner light. The Ascension Key, Dr. Candle breathed, her scientific detachment momentarily overcome by awe. As they approached, The key's glow intensified. The symbols began to rotate, rearranging themselves in complex patterns. "It's reacting to our presence," Candle said, checking her scanner. "The energy readings are off the scale." "How do we activate it?" Elena asked. Before Candle could answer, a voice spoke directly into their minds. Not in words, but in concepts and images that translated themselves into understanding. "The Ascension Protocol requires a worthy vessel. Approach, humans." The team exchanged startled glances. "It's communicating telepathically," Candle whispered. "The precursors must have evolved beyond physical speech." Elena stepped forward. "We need to stop the hegemony. They've destroyed our world and nearly exterminated our species. Will you help us?" The response came as a flood of images, stars being born and dying, civilizations rising and falling, and through it all, the patient observation of the precursors. "We see many worlds with POTE entail. Few AKV AP puro ECD or EDNS. Your species demonstrates resilience NC, adaptability, and keogeneity ability beyond others. UHAVCFFERDD. Yet, RETANGCOMNPASSADA. UHAVBENDFEATED. Yet, REFUSEDCUBMISSIN. The chamber door shuddered as hegemony reinforcements attempted to breach it. "Whatever we're going to do, we need to do it now," Jax warned. Elena faced the key directly. "What do you require from us?" "Only must be CUMEVDE conduit. The transformation is IREVRSIBL." Elena understood immediately. "Me, it has to be me." "Captain, no." Novik protested. "We don't know what it will do to you." "There's no time to debate this," Elena replied. "Get back to the Phantom. If I fail, get this information to the remaining colonies. If I succeed," she smiled grimly, "well, you'll know." Before anyone could object further, Elena stepped into the energy field surrounding the key. The crystalline artifact rose from its containment, hovering before her. Its glow intensified until her team had to shield their eyes. The key touched Elena's forehead and shattered, its fragments dissolving into particles of light that enveloped her completely. For a moment, excruciating pain overwhelmed her consciousness. She felt herself being unmade at the molecular level, every atom of her being disassembled and reconstructed according to patterns established eons ago. Then came understanding. The precursors had not gone extinct. They had evolved beyond physical form, becoming beings of pure energy and consciousness. The Ascension Key was their legacy, meant to elevate worthy species to join them when they were ready. Humanity, with its unique neural pattern, was the first to achieve compatibility in 50,000 years. Elena's consciousness expanded beyond her body, beyond the station, beyond the solar system. She could perceive the entirety of the hegemony, its 300 star systems laid out before her like a map. She could see every ship, every base, every command center, and she could reach them all simultaneously. Outside, her physical form stood motionless, surrounded by radiant energy that shifted through colors beyond the visible spectrum. Her eyes had become pools of light, and when she spoke, her voice resonated with harmonics that hadn't been heard in the galaxy for millennia. "Go," she told her team. "Return to Alturas. Rally the remaining humans. What comes next will reshape the galaxy." The chamber doors finally gave way. Hegemony elite guards poured in, weapons ready, then froze at the sight before them. Some dropped to their knees instinctively, their ancestral memories recognizing power beyond comprehension. Elena, or what had once been Elena, raised her hand. Throughout the hegemony, on every world and every vessel, every piece of technology that had been built using reverse-engineered precursor technology suddenly activated. Command systems locked out their users. Weapons powered down. Shields failed. In that moment of vulnerability, humanity struck back. On Alturas, Admiral Chen was reviewing the latest intelligence when every communication channel simultaneously activated. Alina's voice, somehow both familiar and utterly transformed, spoke to all humans across the galaxy at once. The hegemony is vulnerable. Their technological advantage was built on stolen knowledge they never truly understood. Strike now and reclaim our future. Across the scattered human colonies, resistance cells that had been in hiding for years emerged. Ships that had been concealed in asteroid fields and nebulae powered up their engines. The counterattack began, not as a coordinated military operation, but as hundreds of independent strikes against a suddenly vulnerable enemy. And they weren't fighting alone. Other species that had suffered under hegemony rule saw their opportunity and seized it. The Cardoni, with their powerful battle fleets. The Nurefi, whose psychic abilities had been suppressed for generations. The synthetic Avarax, who had been enslaved as living computers. What began as a desperate mission by 6 humans became a galactic revolution. At the center of it all was Alina, her consciousness now spanning vast distances, coordinating the liberation of world after world. Through her expanded awareness, she guided resistance forces to strategic targets and neutralized hegemony defenses before they could respond. The Supreme Council of the Hegemony, in their panic, activated the Sundering, a weapon of last resort designed to devastate entire star systems. But even this played into Alina's plan. As the weapon powered up, she redirected its immense energy, using it to permanently disable the artificial wormhole network that had allowed the hegemony to maintain control over its far-flung territories. In 7 days, an empire that had stood for 16 centuries collapsed. 1 month later, representatives from 27 species gathered on the neutral world of Tarova. At the center of the assembly stood a figure of light that only vaguely retained human form, the being that had once been Captain Alina Reyes. "The age of the hegemony is over," she announced, her voice still carrying echoes of humanity despite its transcendent qualities. "What replaces it is your choice. I offer not conquest, but partnership." The Cardoni war chief stepped forward. "You have the power to rule us all. Why don't you?" "Because that was never humanity's purpose," Alina replied. "We were not chosen to become conquerors, but catalysts." The precursors seeded the galaxy with diverse life, because they understood that true advancement comes from cooperation between different minds, different perspectives. Dr. Candle, now the representative of the reformed Terran Alliance, addressed the assembly. "We propose a galactic concordat, not an empire, but a federation of equals. Each species self-governing, but united for mutual benefit and defense." The debate lasted for days, but in the end, the concordat was formed. The former territories of the hegemony were redistributed, with special priority given to indigenous species that had been displaced. Technological exchange programs were established, allowing all member species to benefit from shared knowledge. And humanity, once on the brink of extinction, found itself at the center of a new era, not as rulers, but as the species that had broken the chains binding the galaxy. In the years that followed, Alina's physical form gradually faded as her consciousness integrated more fully with the precursor collective. Before she departed completely, she met with her original team one last time on the observation deck of the rebuilt Alturas base. "Was it worth it?" Jax asked her, "Giving up your humanity?" The luminous being that had been Alina Reyes considered the question. "I didn't give it up," she replied. "I brought it with me. The precursors have existed for eons, observing but never intervening. It was human determination, human willingness to fight against impossible odds, that finally broke that cycle." "What happens now?" Novak wondered. "For you, I mean." "I joined the others beyond the veil of conventional spacetime," Alina explained. "But unlike them, I'll be watching over this galaxy, over humanity." The precursors seeded countless worlds, hoping to find worthy successors. In humans, they found not just successors, but teachers. Dr. Candle smiled. "Teachers, What could we possibly teach beings that transcended physical form millennia ago? How to fight for what matters. Alina answered simply. How to face extinction and still refuse to submit. How to retain hope when all seems lost. Her form began to fade, becoming translucent. The hegemony feared humans because they sensed what the precursors knew, that your neural patterns, your cognitive flexibility, your emotional capacity make you uniquely suited to bridge the gap between physical existence and what lies beyond. This was just the beginning. As her form dissipated completely, her final words echoed not just in the room, but in the minds of everyone present. Humanity's greatest strength was never technology or numbers or even determination. It was your capacity to change the rules when the game seemed unwinnable. Remember that. Above them, the stars shimmered like scattered diamonds against velvet darkness, but now they seemed to pulse with new potential, new possibilities. The galaxy had been transformed, and humanity, once hunted to the edge of extinction, had ascended.